All India Radio present Morning News. Good morning. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India will invest $82 billion in port projects by 2035. Centre allows more private hospitals to administer COVID-19 vaccine. Election Commission extends polling time in West Bengal. BJP records massive victory in Gujarat local body polls. Haryana implements 75% reservation for locals in private sector jobs. Indian Air Force to participate for the first time in exercise Desert Flag beginning in UAE today. US imposes fresh sanctions against Russia over Navalny issue. Indian men's hockey team draws against host Germany 1-1. And Jammu and Kashmir tops medals tally at the Khelo India Winter National Games in Gulmarg. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India will invest $82 billion in port projects by 2035. Prime Minister emphasized on creating world-class maritime infrastructure through various reforms to achieve the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Mr. Modi was speaking after inaugurating Maritime India Summit 2021 through video conferencing yesterday. He said India is very serious about growing the maritime sector and emerging as a leading blue economy of the world. Prime Minister invited the global investors to come to India and be a part of India's growth trajectory. The 3-day Maritime India Summit 2021 is been organized by the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways on a virtual platform www.maritimeindiasummit.in. Mr. Modi said through the focus areas of upgradation of infrastructure, boosting reform journey, India aims to strengthen the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. The Prime Minister informed that capacity of major ports have increased from 870 million tons in 2014 to 1,550 million tons now. Mega ports with world-class infrastructure are being developed in Vadhavan, Paradeep and Deen Dayal Port in Kandla. The Prime Minister asserted that his government is investing in waterways in a way that was never seen before. Domestic waterways are found to be cost-effective and environment-friendly ways of transporting freight. Mr. Modi said government aims to operationalize 23 waterways by 2030. He announced that steps are also been taken to introduce urban water transport systems in key states and cities such as Kochi, Mumbai, Gujarat and Goa. Prime Minister Modi expressed a desire to share the best practices with the world and also the openness to learning from global best practices. He said continuing with India's focus on trade and economic linkages with the BIMSTEC and IOR nations, India plans to enhance investment in infrastructure and facilitate mutual agreements by 2026. More from a correspondent.
In his address during the inaugural ceremony, the Prime Minister mentioned that Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways has created a list of 400 investable projects which have an investment potential of $31 billion. He said government is also focusing on the domestic shipbuilding and ship repair market. To encourage domestic shipbuilding, approval has been given to the Shipbuilding Financial Assistance Policy for Indian shipyards.
This will further strengthen our commitment of overall development of our maritime sector. The Maritime India Vision 2030 has been launched. It outlines the priorities of the government. The Sagar Manthan Mercantile Marine Domain Awareness Center has also been launched. It is an information system for enhancing maritime safety, search and rescue capabilities, security and marine environment protection.
Mr. Modi said government has initiated holistic development of island infrastructure and ecosystem. Government is keen to promote the use of renewable energy in the maritime sector and is in the process of installing solar and wind-based power systems at all the major ports across the country.
We aim to increase usage of renewable energy to more than 60% of total energy by 2030 in 3 phases across Indian ports. India's long coastline awaits you. India's hard-working people await you. Invest in our ports.
Eminent speakers from several countries are attending the summit and exploring the potential business opportunities and investments in Indian maritime domain. Denmark is the partner country for the summit this year, and Danish Minister of Transport Benny Engelbrecht was present in the inaugural ceremony. With Anand Kumar, Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the inaugural session on harnessing education, research and skill development for an Atmanirbhar Bharat at 10:30 a.m. today. Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank will address the valedictory session in the evening.
The Election Commission has extended polling time by 30 minutes for the first phase of West Bengal Assembly elections. A notification issued by the poll panel said that the voters will now be able to exercise their franchise from 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. It said the decision was taken in view of the COVID-19 restrictions. The first phase of elections is scheduled to be held on March the 27th in 30 assembly constituencies. In Gujarat, the ruling BJP has registered a clean sweep by winning all 31 district panchayats. The party has also won 75 out of 81 municipalities that went for polls. Congress won 4 municipalities, while 2 municipalities were won by others. The BJP has also won 196 out of 229 Taluka Panchayat results declared so far. Congress won 33 Taluka Panchayats. Polling for 31 district panchayats, 231 Taluka Panchayats and 81 municipalities were held on Monday. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
BJP has replicated its remarkable win in 6 municipal corporations with an equally impressive performance in rural Gujarat. At the other end, the Congress ceded all its electoral gain of 2015 in district and taluka panchayats. New entrants Aam Aadmi Party and AIMIM have also got some seats in different pockets. State BJP President C.R. Patil termed this victory a result of hard work by the party workers and welfare schemes of the government. He said that the people have shown their faith in the leadership of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Chief Minister Vijay Rupani said that the people have given us a huge mandate and we will fulfill their expectations. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the results of the Nagar Palika, Taluka Panchayat and District Panchayat polls across Gujarat give a crystal clear message that Gujarat is firmly with the BJP's agenda of development and good governance. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he bows to the people of Gujarat for the unwavering faith and affection towards the BJP. Home Minister Amit Shah also hailed the BJP's spectacular victory in the local body polls in Gujarat. In a series of tweets, Mr. Shah said the results show that the people of Gujarat have faith in BJP's development agenda. He said under the leadership of PM Modi, the country has set a development agenda for the poor, farmer and common people. He also congratulated Chief Minister Vijay Rupani, Deputy Chief Minister Nitin Patel and State BJP President C.R. Patil as well as party workers for the grand victory.
The Haryana governor has approved yesterday a bill that reserves 75% of the private sector jobs with gross salary up to 50,000 rupees per month for the people of the state. The legislation was passed by the State Assembly last year. Deputy Chief Minister Dushyant Chautala said that the youth of the state will now get 75% reservation in private sector jobs. That includes companies, societies and trusts. Reservation in the private sector for locals was the main election promise of Mr. Chautala's Jananayak Janata Party, which had formed a government in the state in alliance with the BJP. The bill tabled by Mr. Chautala last year makes it mandatory for the private sector companies to reserve 75% of the jobs with salary up to 50,000 rupees per month for natives of Haryana. Companies must register details of all employees getting up to 50,000 rupees per month, the government had said, adding that failure to do so within 3 months of it becoming a law will attract penalties. The Haryana government has said the reservation will be socially, economically and environmentally desirable. The auction of telecom spectrum ended yesterday with total bids of 77,814 crore and 80 lakh rupees for the airwaves. Telecommunications Secretary Anshu Prakash said incremental bids for 668.20 crore rupees were made today on the second and concluding day of spectrum auction. The e-auction was based on simultaneous multiple round ascending auction SMRA methodology. Mr. Prakash informed that bidding took place for spectrum in 800, 900, 1800, 2100 and 2300 MHz bands. The total quantity of spectrum for which right to use has been acquired in these bands is 855.60 MHz. The participants did not bid in 700 and 2500 MHz bands. 4 rounds of bidding, 2 each with stipulated activity levels of 80% and 90% took place yesterday. 2 rounds of bidding with stipulated activity level of 100% took place yesterday. 3 bidders, Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea and Reliance Jio Infocom, participated in the auction. A total quantity of 2,308.80 MHz spectrum was put to auction, including spectrum that is expiring up to December this year.
Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has said that Government of India has identified the toy sector as one of the champion sectors with a long-term vision and plan to develop toy clusters in the country. Speaking at the closing ceremony of India Toy Fair, Mr. Goyal said the mission is not only to make India Atmanirbhar in toys, but also to become a global player with toys made and developed in India, helping create brand India across the world. He said Indian toys not only showcase a rich culture and heritage, but also have huge potential in the training of our children to develop their minds. The minister said Prime Minister Narendra Modi initiated this movement as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat to inculcate the true potential of toys and to develop the ecosystem of toys in India. He said the potential the toy industry holds to help our youth evolve in the formative years was recognized by the Prime Minister. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has announced that the Nag River Pollution Abatement Project has been approved at a cost of over 2,117 crore rupees. The river, which flows through Nagpur city, thus giving its name to the city, is now a highly polluted water channel of sewage and industrial waste. Mr. Gadkari announced it after chairing a meeting of World Bank officials, Director General National Mission for Clean Ganga (NMCG) and Nagpur Municipal Commissioner in his office in New Delhi yesterday. The project approved under the National River Conservation Plan will be implemented by the National River Conservation Directorate. It will reduce the pollution level in terms of untreated sewage, flowing solid waste and other impurities flowing into the Nag River and its tributaries.
Union Information and Broadcasting Secretary Amit Khare has written to Manipur government saying that past to administer notices have not been delegated to state governments, police commissioners or district magistrates under the new digital media laws. In his letter to Chief Secretary of Manipur, Mr. Khare said the Information Technology, Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code, Rules 2021, were framed under the Information Technology Act 2021. Mr. Khare wrote Part 3 of these rules relate to news publishers and publishers of online curated content, OTT platforms, including the Code of Ethics, the 3-tier grievance redressal mechanism, and the requirement of furnishing of information and disclosure of information are to be administered by the I&B Ministry. Union Environment Minister Prakash Zavadekar has ordered officers to take immediate action on the forest fires raging in Simlipal Tiger Reserve. Replying to Petroleum Minister, who expressed concern over the incident, Mr. Zavadekar said he has ordered officers to take immediate action and report it to him. You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India will invest $82 billion in port projects by 2035. Centre allows more private hospitals to administer COVID-19 vaccine. Election Commission extends polling time in West Bengal. BJP records massive victory in Gujarat local body polls. Haryana implements 75% reservation for locals in private sector jobs. Indian Air Force to participate for the first time in exercise Desert Flag beginning in UAE today. US imposes fresh sanctions against Russia over Navalny issue. Indian men's hockey team draws against hosts Germany 1-1 and Jammu and Kashmir tops the medals tally at Khelo India Winter National Games in Gulmarg. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
The centre has decided to allow all the private hospitals to function as COVID vaccination centres. In a press release, the government has said the decision was taken to utilize 100% capacities of all private hospitals. Earlier, private hospitals impaneled to Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, ABPMJAY, central government health scheme and similar state health insurance schemes were allowed to function as COVID vaccination centers. It said the private hospitals will work as COVID vaccination centers if they have adequate number of vaccinators, adequate space for observation of the vaccinated, adequate cold chain arrangement, and adequate arrangement for management of AEFI. Uttar Pradesh government has issued new guidelines for the vaccination of people aged between 45 to 60 years. Overall, about 2 crore estimated beneficiaries have been identified across the state. More from a Lucknow correspondent.
As per directions issued by Additional Chief Secretary Health Amit Mohan Prasad, the government district hospitals and medical colleges will work 6 days a week for COVID vaccination, while the other government healthcare facilities like the primary health centers, community health centers and dispensaries will take up vaccination on 3 days, Monday, Thursday and Friday. Slots for urban centers will be reserved 60% for those availing self-registration, while 40% will be for citizens who walk in. People registering through self-registration method will get preferential vaccination timings from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., while the rest can take up vaccination on first-come, first-served basis from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Slots at rural centers will be in ratio of 50% each for those registering through self-registration and walk-in. On 8th March, which is International Women's Day, 3 sessions for vaccination will be organized in every district in which beneficiaries as well as vaccinators will be only women. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Bihar, a total of 88,868 healthcare workers took the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine. So far, 6,56,501 beneficiaries have been inoculated with the vaccine doses since the start of the vaccination drive in the state. Meanwhile, 2,60,687 patients have recovered from the COVID-19 infection in the state so far. COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 99.27% in Bihar. The number of active cases is continuously declining. Currently, only 368 patients are receiving treatment at various hospitals. No positive case has been reported from 22 districts. In Odisha, more than 27,000 beneficiaries were given COVID-19 vaccine shots yesterday. The state has arranged 219 session sites for vaccination across the state. More from our Bhubaneswar correspondent.
The majority of the beneficiaries, numbering about 21,000 out of the total 27,763, were the senior citizens. Conversely, 774 persons between 45 to 59 years of age with comorbidities were also given the vaccine shot, in addition to about 4,000 healthcare workers receiving their second vaccine jab. The State Health Department has asked collectors and municipal commissioners to find out more private healthcare centers having the requisite facilities for their onboarding in the ongoing vaccination drive. The state has already designated 183 private hospitals as vaccination centers, besides the government health facilities to maximize the reach of COVID-19 vaccination. Girish Chandradas, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
In Maharashtra, 29 private hospitals in Mumbai have been given permissions to carry out COVID vaccination in addition to BMC centers. This was informed by the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation on its Twitter handle. The decision was taken to increase the speed of the vaccination drive as long queues were seen outside the designated vaccination centers in Mumbai and a number of beneficiaries had to wait long to get the dose of the COVID-19 vaccine yesterday. In Tamil Nadu, approximately 408,000 people have been vaccinated for COVID-19 so far. Over 5,800 senior citizens and 5,197 people aged between 45 to 59 with comorbidities got their jabs in the state till yesterday. More from a Chennai correspondent.
Tamil Nadu has registered 462 fresh cases yesterday. Chennai registered 167 new cases of COVID-19, followed by 39 in Coimbatore and 33 in Chengalpat. All other districts reported less than 25 cases and 24 of them reported cases in single digits. Tirupattur was the only district to report 0 cases. The state government's Principal Health Secretary Dr. K. Radhakrishnan visited the Chennai airport yesterday and had talks with the airport officials on monitoring for COVID-19 for those arriving from other countries and also from states like Kerala and Maharashtra. Joy, AIR News, Chennai.
In the Union Territory of Puducherry, as many as 10,701 persons were administered the COVID vaccine so far. 9,668 health workers were given the vaccine in 29 days, while 1,033 frontline workers were vaccinated in 18 days. More from our Puducherry correspondent.
The second phase of a COVID-19 vaccination drive has begun in the UT and 36 elderly people took vaccination so far. Health Director Dr. Mohan Kumar said that this phase will cover all citizens above 60 years of age, the age of 45 years with specified comorbidities. Vaccines available in any of these 17 government-based centers. Senior citizens can visit these centers with any age proof document like Aadhaar card, voter ID, etc. And those above 45 years can take their medical report of their health condition. 32 persons were discharged from hospitals. No deaths were reported. Presently, 79 persons are being treated in hospitals and another 95 positive cases are under home isolation in the Union Territory. The case fatality rate is 1.68% and the recovery rate stands at 97.88%. Chandra Mohan, Air News, Puducherry.
As Kerala reports slight decrease in COVID cases, COVID vaccination drive for senior citizens and those aged above 45 years with comorbidities is continuing in full swing in the state. More from our Thiruvananthapuram correspondent.
As part of the mass vaccination, many state ministers, including State Health Minister K.K. Shailaja, received the first dose of COVID vaccine. Mr. Shailaja said that the state would explore the possibility of starting mass vaccination centers to speed up the process. Meanwhile, Kerala confirmed 2,938 new COVID cases last day. 3,512 recoveries were also reported. Presently, the total active COVID cases in Kerala is 47,277. The test positivity rate reduced to 4.31%. 16 recent deaths were also confirmed due to COVID lately, taking the death toll in the state to 4,226. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
International Women's Day is celebrated on 8th of March every year. All India Radio News honors women achievers from diverse fields by bringing their stories. Mountaineer Anshu Jamsenpa received the Padma Shri this year. She is the world's first woman to climb Mount Everest twice in 5 days. She has scaled Everest 5 times till now. A report.
Anshu Jamsenpa has scaled the Everest 5 times till now. In 2011, she scaled the Everest twice in a season. She earned the record of being the first woman to scale the world's tallest peak twice in a season. In 2013, she climbed the Everest for the third time. In 2017, she created the world record by climbing Everest twice in 5 days. This is for the first time ever a woman has climbed the Everest this fast. Speaking to All India Radio News, Ms. Jamsenpa shared her experience. She also spoke about the challenges she faced during her journey.
Weather plays a major role. So in all these 5 attempts, except in one summit, rest of the time the weather was very bad. That was the biggest challenge that I had to face. And then also nowadays, like a lot of people, they go to climb Everest. Traffic is again an issue. A lot of immature climbers, they also come. It becomes really difficult. You have to wait in the queue. So it makes your climbing slow. Actually, it's a very spiritual moment. When you're there in the top, you're representing the whole country. I can't describe that in words. I've already started giving training. Till now, I've given training to more than 5,000 youths.
Ms. Jamsenpa believes women should have faith in themselves and follow their dreams. Diksha Saxena, AIR News, Delhi.
Indian Air Force will participate for the first time in Exercise Desert Flag, which is beginning in Al Dhafra Air Base in UAE from today. Exercise Desert Flag is an annual multinational large force employment warfare exercise hosted by the United Arab Emirates Air Force. The Indian Air Force is participating in the exercise along with Air Forces of United Arab Emirates, United States of America, France, Saudi Arabia, South Korea and Bahrain. The exercise will conclude on the 27th of this month. The Indian Air Force is participating with 6 Sukhoi Su-30 Mark 1, 2 C-17 and 1 IL-78 tanker aircraft.
The United States has slapped sanctions on Russian individuals and entities over the near-fatal poisoning of prominent opposition figure Alexei Navalny with a nerve agent. Speaking to reporters, the senior White House official said the sanctions were being imposed in coordination with the European Union and urged the release of Navalny from prison. The White House said these sanctions mark the first of several steps by the Biden administration to respond to a number of destabilizing actions. In a nail-biting match, Indian men's hockey team drew against hosts Germany 1-1 last night. India's Jarmanpreet Singh opened the scoring for the visitors. Germany equalized by converting a penalty corner. On Sunday, Indian men's team led by PR Srijesh outclassed Germany 6-1 in the first of their four-match series. Now, India will travel to Antwerp, Belgium, where they will take on Great Britain on Saturday and Monday before wrapping up the 17-day tour.
Jammu and Kashmir has topped the medals tally at the Khelo India Winter National Games, which concluded at Gulmarg in Baramulla district yesterday. The Union Territory bagged 11 gold, 18 silver and 5 bronze. Karnataka stood second with 5 gold and 4 bronze, followed by Maharashtra, which got 3 gold, 3 silver, 2 bronze medals. While Uttarakhand won 3 gold, 1 silver and 3 bronze medals, Himachal Pradesh bagged 2 gold, 2 silver and 4 bronze medals. More than 1,200 athletes from 27 states and Union Territories took part in the tournament. Now let us take a look at the weather update for the day. National capital Delhi will experience mist in the morning. The minimum temperature is around 14 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 29 degrees. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky with temperature varying between 22 and 35 degrees Celsius. Chennai will have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will fluctuate between 24 and 34 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will also have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was around 22 degrees Celsius, while maximum will go up to 36 degrees. Jammu will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards evening or night. The minimum temperature was around 11 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 27 degrees. In Srinagar, we'll have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum temperature is around 3 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to rise up to 14 degrees. Leh will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was minus 9 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 6 degrees. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 5 and 18 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will have partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. The temperature will vary from 8 to 23 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, there will be mainly clear sky. The city will experience temperature between 10 to 29 degrees Celsius. Chandigarh will also have mainly clear sky. The temperature is likely to hover between 13 and 29 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the temperature will hover between 17 and 36 degrees Celsius. The city was covered by haze. Ahmedabad will have clear sky. The minimum temperature was 17 degrees, while the maximum will be around 37 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. The ongoing drive to give coronavirus vaccines to the most vulnerable sections of the general public is one of the stories that find prominent mention in most of the dailies this morning. All private hospitals allowed to offer jab, leads the Tribune. Delhi to cover 2.1 million in second leg of vaccinations, reports the Hindustan Times. BJP goes full throttle in Bengal, informs the Pioneer. The paper writes that Modi to address 20 rallies, first on March the 7th. BJP plans over 800 rallies. BJP sweeps Gujarat local bodies. Congress loses even bastions, states the Indian Express. Congress stays quiet over dissent in the party, informs the Asian Age. India accuses Pakistan of giving pensions to terrorists, reports the Statesman. 25 rupees hike in LPG, total rise 125 rupees in the past 24 days, says the Times of India. And finally, Spectrum auction fetches government 78,000 crore rupees, reports the Economic Times.
And now, before I end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India will invest $82 billion in port projects by 2035. Centre allows more private hospitals to administer COVID-19 vaccine. Election Commission extends polling time in West Bengal. BJP records massive victory in Gujarat local body polls. Haryana implements 75% reservation for locals in private sector jobs. Indian Air Force to participate for the first time in exercise Desert Flag beginning in the UAE today. US imposes fresh sanctions against Russia over Navalny issue. Indian men's hockey team draws against host Germany 1-1. And Jammu and Kashmir tops medals tally at the Khelo India Winter National Games in Gulmarg. And for details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.